What's up, Raider Nation? This is the Violator. You're watching the Raider Homer channel.
Yeah, this is Captain Jack, and you are listening to the one and only Raider Homer here on his YouTube channel. Why aren't you here more often?
Raider Homer, this is Monster Mash Ken. I just wanted to say you're doing a great job, man. It was a pleasure meeting you down at the draft. Keep putting out the good work, man. We need more of you guys around to represent the Raider Nation right. And look forward to meeting you at a game next season, or this season. And yeah, brother, take care. Peace out, Raider Nation for life.
Hello, Raider Nation. Welcome to the Raider Invasion Podcast. I'm your host, Raider Homer. And joining me from New York City, Black Thanos of the Core 4.
Yes, sir. The one and only, the Avatar of Death, the deliverer of wins. It's certainly a pleasure to be with you once again, brother.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine, dude. I'm glad you can take the time to come back onto the channel. You know, I know you're a busy man. I know you're dealing with the heat wave up there in New York, if you can call that a heat wave. You know, but hey, you know, I know it's a heat wave. You know, so I'm glad you can make it.
Yeah, it's the humidity that gets us here in New York. I know Texas has some unforgiving heat. I mean, I did basic training in El Paso many years ago. I was in San Antonio at Fort Sam Houston in the heat of the summer. So you guys get it, but here in New York, the humidity is, oh my goodness, it's just a whole other level, bro. But we Raiders, we built for this, and you know, we're gonna persevere no matter what. So I'm glad to be here with you today, bro. Let's do what we do. Let's represent.
Yes, sir. All right. So before we get into this training camp press conference with Mike Mayock and John Gruden, let's talk a little bit about this event that's coming up when the Raiders go up to New York. Y'all are hosting. The Silver and Black Empire's hosting. You're going to have a tailgate, a dinner, right? You're going to have a bus ride to the game from the hotel.
That's right.
You know, so what's going on with all that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. As a executive member of the executive board of the Silver and Black Empire that I'm honored to serve, as the official booster club of Raider Nation and of the Raider organization in New York City, it's a great opportunity for us to continue what we started years ago, back in 2014 when the Raiders were here. And that tailgate, if you talk to anyone who has attended, will easily attest that was a legendary event. Just epic, despite the brutal cold weather. You know, when Raider fans get together and the spirit is right, the food and drink, the music, the attitude, I mean, it was just a tremendous thing to be a part of. And we are committed to giving Raider Nation once again the optimum experience as they step into the confines of one of the greatest cities of the world, the city that never sleeps, New York City. So, as you alluded to, we are offering round-trip bus transportation from our headquarters, Peter Dillon's, where the Silver and Black Empire convene every Black Sunday and even throughout the off-season. For those out-of-town nation people who will be visiting November 24th or that weekend, we have tickets available for that. We, of course, have tickets for the tailgate event, professionally catered, tons and tons of good food. And some people may have a concern. I noticed as I was on Facebook and browsing through social media, some people have asked, and I understand, well, why are you guys charging $60? You have to remember, with all the limitless food that's being offered, in addition to the beer, as much as you can drink, or, you know, I don't want to encourage anyone being irresponsible, but we all have a different tolerance level. You know, there's beer, there's water, there's soda. You know, there's going to be music there because once you're here in New York, and that's the week leading up to Thanksgiving, I'm going to tell you as a longtime resident here, everything is marked up. Some of us as Raider fans, we are spoiled by the prices in Oakland as far as seating location. Like, say, for example, I remember the days in the Black Hole where you basically would pay $60 to sit in the first few rows. Trust me, no matter how bad the Jets are, you will never pay that small amount to sit in their version of the Black Hole so close to the field. So everything costs more here. And if you're the type to indulge or whatever, once you step inside the Meadowlands where the Jets and the Giants play and you're paying $16, $17 per beer, it's really a bargain, you know. And again, it will be professionally catered with service, tons of food. People who remember the last event, no one walked away from there dissatisfied. Everyone was ecstatic. People still talk about it. God rest our dear brother Oaktown Pirate. He was there, grinning ear to ear. Gorilla Rilla was there. You know, all the big names in this nation. So come on down, join us. We will be hosting that entire weekend. Myself and the Core Four, we have a few events in line that we're still trying to iron out to offer a Raider-type experience to our family from abroad, from across the country. But November 24th, it goes down. Please feel free to contact Carmine Pucci, Pucci, Vice President, who does such a great job at quarterbacking the event and the administrative duties of the Silver and Black Empire. And he can provide more specific information as well as share the flyer that has been going around on Facebook, which I'm sure you're aware of,
Yes,
of that very tailgate. So for me, it's the game to be because the Raiders honestly don't get to New York but so often. And the great thing is that they will also be here next year and the following year. They will play the Jets again in 2020, and then they will play the Giants in 2021. So we're just warming up, and we will be more than pleased to have you people because I've been around the country. I've seen how they do it in Miami. I had a great time with the local nation affiliates down there. I've been to Nashville, San Diego, Arizona, you name it. But when you come to New York, that great city that Frank Sinatra sings about, and you see how deep the nation is, the level of commitment, the love, when you come to the very place that groomed a young Al Davis, you will feel just like you're at home. Because I cannot tell you, brother, how many times people have visited Silver and Black Empire at Peter Dillon's and remarked to us that, damn, this literally feels like Oakland. So come on down, mark it on your calendar if you're able, November 24th this year. We will be in the place to be, keeping it Raider as we always do.
I'll tell you what, you know, speaking of Nashville, I was there, and I drank more than $60 worth of beer. So I'm willing to drop $60 if it's all you can drink. You know what I mean? Especially with the bus ride home. That's legit, man. You know?
Yes, that is correct. Well, I have to be fair. I don't want to misquote, but I believe the bus ride may be about 15 each way. But the tailgate itself, you just made a very great point. When you're talking about as adults consuming alcohol at public venues, that's nothing, bro. You can drink $60 before you even blink.
Yep.
You know, you and I both know that. You being down there in Texas, me being here Well, right now I'm calling from Virginia, but of course I'm based in New York. But that's nothing. Plus the food, the hamburgers, the chicken, sausages, you name it, salads for the people on the keto diet, or want to watch their pounds. There's going to be all types of various salads, so there will be something there for everyone. And believe me, you will not be disappointed, because anywhere around that stadium or inside that stadium, you're going to spend a hefty amount of money.
Hey, like I said, man, I think it's a good deal. I'm just
Right.
waiting to get everything booked. I've talked to Carmine. Yeah, I mean, I'd pay $60 to be able to chill with that guy. That guy's got some stories, man. So,
yeah, he does a great job at orchestrating things, and he's a longtime Raider fan. So he's motivated out of his love to the nation, for his brothers and sisters, and anything he puts his name to, he's always going to ensure that it's done in a great, high quality, respectable way. And that's the case with all of us in the Silver and Black Empire. And I believe it should be the case with everyone in Raider Nation. Just as I've been blessed to meet a lot of great clubs around the country, or certain conventions, and of course out there in Oakland, where when I visit various tailgates, I always know everything is top notch. The love is sincere, the passion is real, and you just have a gorgeous time with one another. So it feels good that we here in NYC get to reciprocate that love and be the host as the nation descends on New York City, November 24, 2019.
I mean, that's not very far away. Season comes and goes.
No, it isn't.
Before you know it, we'll be there.
Yeah, the year is flying by. Training camp is open now, so the countdown has officially begun.
Oh yeah, there's no more scraping the bottom of the barrel for Raider news week to week, in these podcasts. It's going to be full-fledged, Raiders.
No doubt, bro.
And, we can go ahead and get into that Mayock and Gruden press conference,
Yeah.
For me, some of the key points that were made in there, some of the biggest takeaways, right, were that the rookies, they looked prepared, for the first 3 days of training camp. Coming, being able to make the adjustments, coming in, knowing the playbook. Mayock was talking about that. They were saying, another takeaway was that the second-year guys, they're the ones that are going to have to step up. And so that puts the pressure on Hurst, Hall, Key, and then,
right.
Colton Miller. And, and with the injury to Denzel Good, which we can get into, that puts a little bit more pressure on Brandon Parker, even though he's a tackle. There was mention of him being a guard at some point, maybe. So,
Right.
that's a pretty key thing. And then I guess the biggest takeaway, right, is at the end of the press conference, they were talking about that their vision is coming together, that it's being implemented. So, to me, those are some of the biggest key points that were made in that press conference, and we can get into that as we go. But to you, what were some of the biggest key points?
I'm glad you asked. Well, I think right off the bat, it was reassuring to hear Gruden, kind of downplay the Antonio Brown factor as far as how he arrived in camp. You notice the press asked about that, probably looking for a juicy or controversial soundbite, because he, came in a hot air balloon. And Gruden made it clear we expect a reasonable amount of drama, maybe tongue-in-cheek from Brown. So, he's kind of putting people at ease, like we know what we signed up for. And as long as, I guess, AB doesn't do anything crazy or criminal, of course, the Raiders are on board with not only who he is as a player, but who he is as a person, how he expressed himself. I also think that, as you alluded to, the O-line is still a work in progress. They touch on Incognito's suspension, which I think is problematic, not because the Raiders did not expect it, but the fact that we opened the season with 2 division games, and we have to kind of take a patchwork approach with his absence. And like you say, think about Parker and some of these other people to play alongside Miller, who they seem to be committed to. And it's only my personal opinion. I'm concerned about that because Mayock or Gruden hasn't really given any indication of wavering from that. They seem to be sold on this kid. And that's not necessarily bad, but the numbers are he did lead the league in sacks allowed a year ago. And we did sign a guy from the Patriots who played left tackle for who some people say is the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, for the defending Super Bowl champions, and Trent Brown. So it's odd to me that no one at that press conference would ask Gruden or Mayock, what is it about Miller that you're so hell-bent about that you would make one guy the richest paid O-lineman in history at his position, but put him out of position to continue with a kid who may have great potential, but he had a horrendous year. So either they know something you and I don't know. I hope that gamble pays off, or maybe at some point in the season they will have to reassess that. But generally, I think since Cable got here, the O-line has basically been in a state of flux. You probably remember, Raider Homer, that it wasn't long ago we were considered, I guess along with the Cowboys, as the best O-line in football. You would think that was 10 years ago. That was just 2016, even going into 2017. And Cable came back, and there was reports about what happened with Kalichi, who kind of left disgruntled, who was a solid player, about Donald Penn being asked to move, who, for all practical purposes, was one of the best at his position with a very low sack allowed ratio. So that's my biggest concern with the press conference. But I think Mayock and Gruden are both professional and experienced at handling the media. You saw that, both of them being very polished. I don't think they said anything I didn't expect them not to say. So I just think it was like business as usual. And they did indicate that they're still waiting to see exactly what they have with the young guy, especially when some say we reach for Farrell at number 4, the kid from Clemson. I would like to think that gamble will pay off, but when you let go a Khalil Mack, who is a generational type player, who I've said is probably the most impactful Raider we had since Bo Jackson. And I make that comparison because Bo Jackson was the type of athlete that even if you weren't a Raider fan, universally he was respected. When people say, yo, that was a bad man. Khalil Mack commanded that same type of respect. Well, even if it was from Donkey fans, for the uninitiated, that's Bronco fans, or Choker fans, Charger fans. Across the board, people recognize Khalil as a beast, just like they recognize Bo Jackson in the same way. Even if they despise the Raiders, Khalil Mack was such an immense talent that he commanded that type of respect across the board. That's who we gave up. And we're asking a young kid from Clemson who played with a very great defensive team with other All-Americans to make us forget about. It's a tough position for that kid to be in, and he's from Virginia, where I'm sitting right now, so I'm rooting for him. And he does have ability, but Khalil is Khalil. So Mayock and Gruden during that press conference gave me the impression that they still trying to ascertain exactly who they have. You know, Crosby's been receiving a lot of favorable reviews or hype from the fans, but we both know the off-season hype is very different from regular season production and impact. So, you know, but I'm glad that they, you know, addressed some things, but they didn't say anything that I did not expect them to say as far as, you know, their media savvy and their experience with the press.
I mean, that's a lot right there. But, you know, let's go back. Let's go ahead and pick those scabs again, right? Let's go ahead and pick the Khalil Mack scabs. I'm down, okay? Because for a long time, I turned his jersey inside out and hung it in my closet, you know. I was upset that he wanted that much money. I wanted him to fulfill his contract. You know, I wanted him to come to be a Raider, to have that desire to say, you know, I'll be a Raider and you know, I'll know. Because, look, I think it came down to like $2 million, $3 million a year, which over 6 years adds up. But, you know, he's, you know, I don't know what the taxes are like in Chicago, but I would like to have seen him just wait to get to Vegas, and then that money would have been made up. But whatever. But to compare him to Bo, I mean, that's not a bad comparison. Both were explosive, dominant. They were athletes among athletes. You know what I mean? So that's not a bad comparison. You know, they both had 4-year careers with the Raiders. So, but Bo, though, you know, Bo was that he transcended all media. You know what I mean? And so all the mediums, you know, video games, comic books. You know, he was in books. You know, he was in your school library. He was in your on your TV during commercials and cartoons and movies and things like that. You know, but I mean, that's a good comparison. I don't think that, you know, Mac is he's not as big as Bo was. You know, he was, which I don't think that's the point you're making, but Bo also was ahead of his time. I don't think Khalil Mack was ahead of his time. You know, but Khalil Mack, you know, like I said, I pulled the jersey out. I'm ready to let that anger go with Khalil Mack because, you know, Khalil Mack knew he was worth money, and he knows that this is in the NFL, it's the rich versus the super rich. So you can't be mad. As Coach Randy Hansen said, I would never be mad at a player for going and getting his money. You know, so I'm not going to be mad at Khalil Mack anymore. I brought out the jersey. I'll wear the jersey again. You know, but yes, for them to be looking at, you know, Farrell to replace Mack, I mean, I don't think they're really doing that because, you know, Gruden knows, like we know, that Mack was just that kind of player. But you know, like one of my topics was that they feel like their vision is being implemented right now. So a part of their vision, was to not overpay on players. And, of course, you can't really overpay for Mack because he's worth every penny. But then again, you can't build a defense around a player like Mack if he has that kind of money. And you say, well, Carr has that kind of money. Well, the league is built around quarterbacks making that kind of money. You know what I mean? But, you know, to ask Farrell to take Mack's place, I don't think that's happening. You just need him to come in. You need... Like what they were saying, you know, we need Farrell to get 6 to 7 sacks. You know, we need Key to come in off the bench to keep Farrell, you know, fresh, and we need him to pick up 4 to 5 sacks. It's right now, like, you know, running backs. There was, you know, at first the running backs dominated the league for a long time, but then they went to running back by committee, and now they're almost, you know, secondary thoughts. You know what I mean? So to me, the defensive end, yes, that's key to every, you know, team, because you know you have to be able to stop the quarterback in a pass happy NFL. But to me, I think, you know, being that they are starting to ask for $90 million a year or for $90 million over 6 years or whatever, you got to start taking that defensive end, you know, by committee approach. You know, because you got Clowney, right? Clowney, now he was playing 2 different positions, right? So now he's like, he wants to argue and say, no, I'm a defensive end because I can make more money there. So, all that's going to have to be ironed out with this whole new agreement that's going to be coming up here shortly. But I think that the Raiders are smart to go with the defensive end by committee approach, I guess, if that's even a thing. I'll just say I coined it, whatever. But
well, yeah, as the saying goes, there is strength in numbers, and you make some very good, valid observations, bro. But just to be devil's advocate for a brief second, if you think of all the Raiders in recent years, if there's one guy who had a legitimate need to ask for a raise, it would be Matt. You're talking about the only man in history to win All-Pro at two positions in 1 year, a MVP, and remember, everybody in Mac's draft class that, joined the Raiders were able to rework their deals except him. So he was like the most productive, but the last one to really get a new deal. And some people tend to forget it wasn't Carr that was drafted first. It was him. I was at that draft at Radio City Music Hall screaming my head off when Roger Goodell announced his name and he came out on the stage, because I knew this was the kid we needed for so long, and he didn't disappoint. So, in today's game, and it was like a year ago this month when Gruden made that great speech outside of Ricky's, we're going to get him in camp some way or the other. But according to Mac's people, he never really reached out. You and I, don't know the exact truth of all of that. But the bottom line is he was traded away on my birthday. So I can't forget it, even if I wanted to. And if you remember, Homer, when the season started, I was at the Radisson in Oakland for the home opener that Sunday, but we started on Monday night. I was in Oakland. All the Raider fans are watching the TV, the games, and Mac just wrecking shop with the Bears with 1 week to learn their system, fresh out of the Raider system into the Bears. If you remember the way he started his season with the Bears, it was like salt on the wound. It was like watching your girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend just, upgrade to the 10th degree or something, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, it was the worst. It was the worst feeling as a Raider fan since watching John Gruden run up and down the sideline cheering as the Bucs stole the Super Bowl from us. Yeah, that was terrible, man. But look, dude, I know, man. Mac is irreplaceable, dude. And like I said, I don't care. I'll go back. I'll pick scabs. Mac's irreplaceable. But at the same time, we did replace his ass with, AB, right? Terrell Williams, right? J.J. Nelson, right? We were able to sign LaMarcus Joyner. We were able to sign
that was a good signing, LaMarcus.
Worley, yes. Right? We were able to get Worley in back with he had some kind of funky contract. I forget what it was. It was like they put a trade on him or something like that, to where somebody had to compensate the Raiders if they signed him or something like that, right? Wasn't that what it was? But we had the money to get him back. So Worley, right. Remember Worley in his early years before he got suspended was playing well too. And now you got Conley and things like that. So I mean that's the key, because we built a juggernaut offense, right? And yes, Mac dominated. I remember seeing it. See, F Gruden this, F Gruden that, this blah blah blah. We should F Carr, F this, F that. But my point this whole time has been, Carr is the reason, right? Mac, I think it was in 2016, there were like 2 games where he sealed the deal with the forced fumble, right? And one of those was one of the comebacks, right? But at the same time,
and that Panther game, don't forget that.
Yeah, but at the same time, Mac didn't do anything but put up like numbers. You understand what I'm saying? Like there were a lot of times that he didn't win the game for us. There were a lot more times that Derek Carr did win the game for us. Like, where was Mac, right, when we were playing the Steelers that year, and Carr brought us all the way back after having thrown 2 interceptions in the first half or something like that. And he brought us all the way back, and then Ben Roethlisberger comes out, and what's his name, the backup, steps in and throws the ball to AB. You know, where was Mac? You know, that's what I mean.
Right.
Like, we all know, right? Mac, man, I wish Mac was still a Raider, but he's not. And the reason that we had to go with Derek Carr is because he's getting ready to crush the Raider record book. Now, a lot of guys that saw Gruden the first time, they're like, F that, man. It's about winning. You know, they don't want to see a quarterback that's been losing more than he's winning take over these records of their beloved quarterbacks. And I get that.
Right.
You know, Ken was the GOAT. He is the GOAT when it comes to Raider quarterbacks, you know. But Derek, you think about that. From Rich Gannon to Derek Carr, nobody else had a shot at even touching that record book. How many years was that? You know what I mean? That was a long time. So that's the thought process. You know, that's unpopular, right? And so from what Mark did, and this is what I like about Mark Davis, he came out during all that and he said, look, we offered Mac a contract, you know, the same time that we offered Carr. They were trying to get the best deal possible that was for the team, not necessarily for Mac, right? You could tell that's the approach they had. And that's what Mac sensed too. And Mac's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and get the most money out of me, because whatever, he might get hurt next year and he's done. You know what I mean? And none of that money's guaranteed except for what was guaranteed, right? But at the same time, Carr is proven to be able to win, right? And so when he got that contract, it made him the highest paid quarterback of the time, right? But then the very next year, boom, he wasn't there. And then each year he kept dropping out of that list, right? Now I think he's like the fifth. So. But that contract now is looking real good, right? We're not talking about Derek Carr restructuring to get AB in. We're not, you know, we didn't have to restructure Derek Carr's contract to get any of these players in, right? The Bears have already restructured Khalil Mack's contract to get more players in. Because remember, everybody's like, oh man, we got swindled, right? We traded Mack. He went and had a ball out year, and we were supposed to get a low pick, but we got a high pick. Well, remember when we went 12-4, right? Carr got hurt. Mack didn't show up in that playoff game. Remember, Clowney outplayed him. All right, and then what am I going at with this? So Matt, Carr got hurt. We couldn't win in the playoffs. Now Carr's contract is looking good. It's not hurting us. And the Bears are having to restructure, and we were 12-4, and we couldn't get back to the playoffs, and now here we are. So there's no guarantee that the Bears are going to get back to the playoffs, and that the first round pick coming up in 2020 may be high. Now, you know, the jury's still out, all right, on the Mac trade, right? Like this year that'll be, I think, even it out a little bit. This is the year to even it out because we play them, right? If we can shut them down, because remember, Mac disappeared for a little bit too. You know, it's not like he dominated every game. Remember when he dominated the Broncos?
But nobody
against a backup guy.
But nobody does, because if you just take his first month with the Bears, that's almost a career highlight reel for most other players. When you think he did not know the system, he's learning, and he sat out. Remember, he was a holdout, so he wasn't even technically in shape because he didn't report to camp. And to come to a totally different team in the NFC and do what he did those first few weeks, I've never seen that in my life in 40 years of watching this game. I mean, I knew of course, we as Raider fans knew how good he was, but that just seemed almost cruel for us, because like I said, it was like salt on the wound. That was a tough time to be a Raider fan, because I can tell you, as I traveled around the country, anyone who saw me in my colors, that's the first thing they asked me. I don't care what team they were wearing. Damn, how can you get rid of Khalil, bro? I got tired of being asked that. You know, and to be honest with you, some people say you needed to get rid of Carr before you don't let go of that man. I'm just, paraphrasing and quoting what I was told in my travels by NFL fans who don't even have a bias for the Raiders, but just recognizing that level of impact. You know, typically a defensive end is not supposed to win a game for you. A quarterback, yes, That's why they command a certain salary. But Carr going to year 6 or 7 with really one great year under his belt, there's more pressure on him now than ever, because the rationale will be Gruden and Mayock will say, look, we gotten you probably the best wide receiver in the game. Some people would say, well, Crabtree dropped passes, Cooper dropped passes, Seth Roberts. Now you got AB there. And hypothetically, if all of a sudden AB develops a drop problem, then we're going to have to reevaluate and wonder just what or who is the problem. That's something I noticed that a lot of Raider fans did not honestly address. They would get on Cooper after he got traded to the Cowboys. But I said, look, Crabtree had a drop problem with Carr. Seth Roberts, there were a lot of times he would drop critical passes with Carr. So I said the common denominator seemed to be Derek Carr. Now, Antonio Brown, we know he definitely does not have a drop problem. But I'm just saying, for sake of argument, if he developed one here, then that's going to let us know what the problem was, But like you say, the Carr contract now, by comparison, because of inflation and, the evolution of the game is better compared to a lot of other people out there. But the pressure's all on him now with a retooled O-line. I don't think the O-line is necessarily better, but it's definitely different, and we shall see, the effectiveness of it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because Carr still has to work on his footwork, his poise. I don't think he's been the same player since his unfortunate injury Christmas Day in 2016. Ever since then, or Christmas Eve rather, ever since then, there has been a noticeable difference in his composure and his play selection, as far as his check down. So it's gonna be interesting to see, but I can't be critical of Mac. I think as a defensive player, he gives you all that you would reasonably expect from a guy whose primary job is not to carry the ball, but to stop the other person. And he really had no help. So when most teams double, triple team him, chip block him, clip him, hold him, I can't remember how many times that Silver and Black Empire we're yelling at our screens as we watch the game, yelling holding, as we watch Mac get held, time after time. But he commanded that type of attention. We just did not have enough talent around him that could capitalize off of a guy like Mac commanding double and triple teams constantly.
Yeah,
so
but
when he went to Chicago,
that's why I was upset. Mac. Think about what Hurst would have done to help Mac, and so let's not get too much further into Mac, right? Because we're already getting into the episode still on Mac. But
okay,
the hope is that Hurst helps Farrell. You know what I mean? But yeah, Mac didn't get all the help, right? But neither did Carr, dude. All right. Yes, he had that great offensive line, right? But he did have drops, and you could say, is Carr the constant? Yeah, well, he is the quarterback, but at the same time, Santonio Holmes, right? That was Antonio Holmes, right? Yeah, he was number 18. He was catching. Carr made him look good. James Jones,
right?
James Jones didn't have a drop problem. Right, I think even wasn't Moore a part of? I can't remember if Moore was there, but no, I mean.
Oh man, you talk about a malcontent. Yeah, I used to call him Denarius Less because that's what he gives you, less as opposed to more. But yeah, I've been in a black hole and overheard his back and forth with some fans, and to be honest with you, Raider Homer, his attitude was like, I'm getting paid either way. So when he left from the Raiders, I was not shedding any tears. He was a character, to say the least. But he did give us some level of production, but his attitude wasn't the best. I think Crabtree and Carr had a rock solid chemistry. A lot of people don't realize, but the 3 years that Carr and Crabtree was together, the only other tandem that matched them in touchdowns was Big Ben and AB with 25 for that 3-year period. So that's saying a lot. And I've often said that Carr does not get that contract without Crabtree, because you can't really name too many signature moments by Derek Carr without mentioning Michael Crabtree, like that epic Chief game, or against the Ravens in Baltimore when Crabtree had 3 TDs and I was at that game, or some of the other game-winning moments like against the Saints with that go forward on 4th down for 2 play that Del Rio called. They're like linked, and I don't know the real reason why Crabtree got ushered out, but sometimes you have to preserve the chemistry. But AB is a beast. He seems to be passionate. He got a chip on his shoulder. How he relates to Carr remains to be seen.
Man, bro, you know what, bro? You're picking some scabs, right? Look, man, screw this press conference. Let's just keep going like we go, okay? Look, Crabtree, all right? Crabtree, man, the reason he got let go is because of that damn fight he got into with Talib. Like, that shit's not going to cut it. Yes, we can go all the way back, right? People were pissed off about Marquette King. They were pissed off about Crabtree, right? That was before Mac. And then they were pissed off about Irvin. And then they were pissed off about Butterfingers Pooper. Dude, but look, and that's, I was listening to Derek Carr's press conference, and he was talking about this wide receiving group being some of the only ones to ever really go out and contact him instead of him contacting them. And then he even dropped a little, I think, a jab at Cooper, right? Where he was like, some people even care. They care more as opposed to some people that didn't even care. Man, wow. Cooper did not want to be a Raider from the beginning. And I remember my friends that are here and they're Cowboy fans, right? And they were laughing, saying, haha, look at his face. He doesn't even want to be a Raider. Everybody was laughing. You remember that? And he came out true. And that's part of the reason I went ahead and just pulled my Mac jersey out, because he didn't come back and trash us, dude. I've said in the past, when he did come back to the Bay Area and they were asking him, why he left, and he said, I think you know why. I don't think that was a jab at Gruden. I think he was just straight up saying $90 million. Okay? Nobody can turn down $90 million. So, I mean,
right.
But Cooper, man, Cooper was a cancer, dude. And so was Bruce Irvin. And so was Marquette King, dude. Marquette King was fun to watch. He was fun to watch, dude. It was great, right? But that's one thing that hurt JDR, was he had no real control over that locker room, right? And whatever happened after Washington, right? That's, JDR did not have the ability to hold that team together. And that's where you go back to it. That's where everything fell apart. And I know KO came out and said that it had nothing to do with the kneeling or not kneeling and things like that. But I'm not sure I buy that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we all are human. We all have these. Even in the Raider Nation, we click up. You know what I mean? And even in the Raider Nation, we're willing to prove a point. You know what I mean? So there was something to that. Now, whether, whatever the hell happened, whatever, JDR was not the guy that could handle it. So when Marquette King's throwing the damn, flag, right, and getting penalized, and then Cooper's dropping balls left and right, not even giving a shit. And then Crabtree is getting into a fight over a damn necklace. Like, that's what led to it.
I know, bro. I can't let you ride with that one. I mean, when you think of the old school Raiders and our reputation and stuff, nobody would even dare to try to do that. That's an issue of manhood right there. And on the street, that could get you severely dealt with. Yeah. And it's even a criminal act.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if they was on any street corner and Talib come up to him and snatch his chain off, he could be prosecuted for that. So if you feel bold enough to do that on national television, outside of the penalties that's supposed to be imposed by the NFL, and Crabtree makes a good amount of money, that's no $10 necklace he's wearing, or he doesn't even know the significance of that necklace. Maybe it reminds him of his mother or whatever. You just don't know why players, adorn themselves with certain things. But it was just blatant disrespect that was unnecessary. Now, if it happened in the course of a tackle or something like that, that's different. But I'm not mad at Crabtree. I want to see that toughness.
Well,
Cooper was
you
criticized
definitely.
when Pac-Man was on top of him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And Cooper pussied out like that, dude. I mean, that's why I don't care.
Right.
But Crabtree came back and showed love to the Raiders, so I don't want to say too much about him. But the thing is, though, dude, plus I got to volunteer for the Crab 5 Foundation, and now, like I said, I don't want to say anything bad about the man, but that's what cost him his job. Because, Gruden, that shit ain't going to happen with Gruden. Gruden will cut your ass in a heartbeat. Look, everybody knows, right? That's what Gruden in his ego, cutting everybody, Gruden in his ego. Well, yeah, Gruden has an ego, man. Yeah. And his ego's bigger than everybody, okay? This ain't, you understand, this is his team. Gruden is so big, right, in the Raider organization, Mark Davis just gets the hell out of the way. Right?
Yeah, they think about
That's how big Gruden's balls are, all right? He's walking in there with them in a wheelbarrow. You know what I mean? And players questioning him is not going to work. And KO was a questioner, right? Bruce Irvin was a questioner. Mac was a questioner. Cooper was a questioner. They all came out and questioned. Except Mac. I don't really remember him questioning. But, he was like, you know what? I want my money. So that wasn't going to fly.
Right.
And, that's the thing is now you get guys like Abram, right? He wants the safety, right? Jonathan Abram, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, the third kid we took in the draft.
Yeah. Okay, Abram. Now he comes in, he's like, I want to be a Raider. I want to come back to the old days. This is my team. I want to learn. Out there, boom, 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 boom. That was his first reaction, right? And then Cleveland Farrell, same thing. I want to be a Raider. This and this and that, right? And Abram, right? Abram. So there's Abram and then Abrams, the running back. No, Josh Jacobs, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So Josh Jacobs,
the holdout.
Right. His first thing was to hold out. Like, that shit, I bet ruffled Gruden's feathers a little bit. Like, if he tries to do that in the future, he's going to get traded.
Right. And between you and me with the Jacobs thing, he come from a great program, Alabama, one of the best in history, but he was part of a platoon system. He's a big kid. He has some strength. He's got good size, but he wasn't even a leading rusher in Alabama. He was third as far as leading that team. And to come in with that sense of entitlement, me personally, I would have brought Lynch back because I know what I'm getting. And Lynch is someone who the year before volunteered to restructure his contract to free up money for the Raiders. That goes greatly underreported. And that's some of the criticism that some people have aimed at Carr during the Khalil Mack thing, where he said, that's my brother and stuff like that. But at no time did he offer to restructure a dime. I've seen Tom Brady do it. I've seen Super Bowl winning quarterbacks do it. But that never came out of Carr's mouth. And to be fair, when you see a coach get hired for $100 million, and you're like, wait a minute, I've been the best player on this team since I got drafted. I'm watching I watch Gabe Jackson, I watch Derek Carr, everyone else get new deals and extensions, but me. What am I doing wrong? I'm the only player in history to be all-pro at two positions in one season. I'm an MVP, a defensive MVP.
But I get it. But dude,
I could never fault that.
He didn't. Derek Carr, even only in 1 year, right, showed us why you pay him, because he can bring you back. Okay, that's something that people don't really understand, right? To me, it's like, if you have a quarterback that can chunk up a bunch of numbers but cannot bring you back in the fourth quarter, what the fuck? What's he worth? That's when I would question. But when you have a quarterback that with 2 minutes to go and you got the ball back, you're like, we have a chance. That's what I want.
That's right.
All right, and you like the same point you say that Mac didn't have anybody around him. You know, you can say the same thing about Carr, but Carr did have some weapons. He did have some weapons, but at the same time,
he had
the most important stability for a quarterback is in the coaching staff, right? So that's why in 2016 he had an excellent year because that was the second year under Musgrave. Musgrave knew how to use them and all this and that, and they went off despite all the drops. Because in that year they were both of them, Cooper and Crabtree, were still top 5 in drops. You know, and Carr still put up those kind of numbers. So, you know, I mean,
but they both also got 1,000 yards, and you're right about Cooper never looked inspired or happy. I just figured it was his personality, but now some things became clearer. But he was the first player since Randy Moss to get 1,000 yards for the Raiders at wide receiver.
And
so we can't say he was a bust,
the first rookie
or he
do it.
totally mailed it in. You know, he did have. I think that's why Dallas was comfortable with making that trade, because they looked at the board for the 2019 draft and said, look, there's nobody at wide receiver we're going to get that's going to equal this kid. And when he went to Dallas, they were, I think, in third or last place, below 500, went on, 7-8 game winning streak, win the division, and go to the second round of playoffs. You have to say they feel good about that, regardless of his personality quirks or him not being happy with Oakland. And him being a young man, basically all his life, he know the Raiders as losers.
Yeah, that's where I think it was.
Think about it. Growing up as a kid in Florida, you can't help who draft you. You know, he's seen Todd Marinovic and Terrell Pryor and all types of people at quarterback. You know, it's like.
Well, I don't know if he saw Marinovic.
Right.
He's still young.
Yeah, I went a little
but
further.
He saw Jason Campbell, Jeff Garcia. Who else was in there?
Matt Schwab, and we tried to give him
Carson Palmer. You know,
right. And you know what? It's funny because I've read what Carson Palmer said. Him and Hugh Jackson only needed one more year to turn things around, and I kind of believe that because, as typical Raider luck, he went to Arizona and had a solid time there. He looked like.
Well, yeah. And then Jacoby Jones, right, went to Baltimore and won a Super Bowl. Yes, they leave us and they win. I get that, but that's because we got the dysfunction going on. Like, remember, man, Al was chasing that 0-2 Super Bowl hardcore. You know, we got 9 years of that. You know, before he passed, and then and God rest his soul. And then Mark Davis had to step in. And he tried, with Reggie, with Dennis Allen, and then JDR, and then even in JDR you had Musgrave and Downing, so there was a lot of change, man. But you give Derek Carr that stability, I'm telling you, it's on, dude, and it's proven. It's proven. And you say, well, even though it's a small sample size, it's still proven. And Derek Carr is coming in now, dude. I'm telling you, dude. The kid, yes, after those injuries, remember, it wasn't just the back. It was the pinky, the leg, and then the back. All back to back, man.
Right.
Within a year.
Yeah,
that shit's significant, man. So, yeah, I don't give a damn how badass you are. You know what I mean? You go into an NFL field. You remember what it was like getting hit, in high school? Imagine what it's like in the NFL. You know what I mean? Of course he's going to be gun shy. And as far as, the check downs, I mean, that was smart, and I guarantee you that they were telling him, hey, look, you got 2 guards that we just signed off the street and 2 rookie tackles. If you got to, get rid of the ball instantly. And so that's what he was doing. And if Josh Jacobs works out, then get ready for that, Raider Nation. We're still going to hear that bitching. But then the other thing is, Renfro, right? Renfro, man, is going to, if he can work those linebackers like they're saying and underneath, there's going to be a lot of those short passes again. Derek Carr can throw the deep ball. You know what I mean? It's just, but remember Cooper.
I need to be reminded, bro. It's been so long.
He can throw the
I
deep
need to
ball.
be reminded. Because I mean, if I look back at 2018 and 2017, the times he's tried to go deep, I've scratched my head a few times.
Yeah, well,
I think he can do it, but I think he was gun shy. Trust me, I remember him saying that when he got injured in that Christmas game, he said he was thinking about his family and all types of other stuff. Sometimes that changed a man.
Yeah.
And it took a significant time for him to rehab and heal and all that.
Yep.
And
then he got his ass beat.
Subconsciously, when you hear those footsteps coming, it does something to some players. Some players are not the same, whether it's basketball, football, you name it, after significant injuries. But I think he still has upside. He's easily the best quarterback we've had in well over a decade or more, easily.
Mm-hmm.
I was so glad that he won the job from Matt Schwab, because when we signed Matt Schwab, I was like, oh, my God, please don't let him be the starter. Because you being in Texas, you'll remember the fans literally went to Schwab's house to try to run him out of town out there. So the last person I wanted to be quarterback was Matt Schwab, and Carr beat him out that year, which I was grateful for. And he showed a lot of promise in that preseason. So now Mayock Gruden has put some great pieces on paper around him. It's a matter of chemistry, because we still have to be honest. AB is leaving a team and got traded for a low pick for a player of his stature, with Big Ben, a Super Bowl winner, and who is if you think Crabtree had attitude or diva issues or whatever, he's got nothing on Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I mean, diva. Let
so,
go. Everybody needs to let go of the
know,
diva thing, because that's wide receivers. You know what I mean? So bring on the diva. I don't give a damn. You know what I mean?
True.
As long as you can sit in the hole and beat the defense. Shit.
Right, and that's initially when Cooper was a rookie, and then it's part of his second year. That's one of the things I appreciated about Cooper, because he was so low key. Because fundamentally, he was sound, and he was the right pick. That draft, I remember a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Raiders should take Kevin White." I said, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, no, I wanted Cooper.
And sure enough, thankfully, the Raiders took Cooper, coming out of Alabama, winning the Fred B. Award, the Hall of Fame Raider for best wide receiver in the country. He had the speed. He could run every route.
Right.
He was like basically a good kid, didn't get into trouble. But that I appreciated about him. But like you say, evidently he wasn't happy. Gruden picked up on it, got a pick for him. Great. But AB, that's a whole different animal, because he basically talked himself out of Pittsburgh. And I can't forget him standing on the sideline in a fur coat as the Steelers were playing for a playoff spot last December. And he didn't have a football injury. So, and Carr being a certain personality, that can be a potential issue. God forbid we come out and the Raiders are 2-7 or something like that, and Brown doesn't like his numbers. God knows we're going to have a circus like we haven't seen in Oakland in a long time. And just keep in mind, we know in Derek Carr, as far as his personality, type of person he is, Brown commands a lot. He brings a lot to the table, extremely gifted, but so was Randy Moss when we picked him up. There was nobody better in the league than Randy Moss at the point that we got him. But I don't want to think negative, but I just want to keep everyone's expectations somewhat tempered and realistic for any hypothetical situation. Hopefully they can mesh, and maybe Brown and Carr will set records. That's what I want. But it remains to be seen. but we're both on the same page. We need Carr to excel because I'm going to tell you this, bro. He is on the spotlight and under the microscope more than anybody because there are very few franchises that move into a new city and take a quarterback, the face of the franchise, with them that hasn't really won anything.
Bro.
And the
Bro,
draft
think
class
about this.
next
Think
year-
about it like this. You got to
Okay.
think about it like this, okay? Derek Carr, right? Let's say the people that are saying this is a make or break year for him are right. Right? Because we don't know what Gruden's going to do. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do. He's Gruden, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
he could
yeah.
get rid of Carr next year, right? Now, like we've been saying, right? We get rid of these players and we go and watch them excel. What if we get rid of Derek Carr and the Chargers sign him? You know, or the Broncos sign him. Derek Carr is going to get signed within the hour of him being cut. And you know what I mean? So what if who are we going to replace, you know, Derek Carr with? You know, think of, right, who's coming up on their free agency contracts, right? Bridgewater was here recently, but he signed somewhere else. I would feel comfortable with Bridgewater, but is Bridgewater that Gruden type guy? You know, because Derek Carr is in between, to me, he's in between Rich Gannon and Brad Johnson, right? Like, Gruden needs to learn that perfect mix. You know, remember, Gannon, I remember Gannon chunking it all over the place, but I remember, you know, Wheatley and Kaufman running it up the gut all the time, you know what I mean, and hitting the sideline. So
Right.
Gruden more of a run type first, and that's why, you know, he was successful with Brad Johnson because Brad Johnson didn't have to do too much because Gruden liked to run it, plus he had a great defense. You know, so right now we got a better offense than the defense, but I mean, what if we get rid of Carr and he goes somewhere else? Where you know, who's not gonna want Derek Carr? Start there. List the teams that aren't gonna want Derek Carr.
Good point, bro. But I'm saying, okay, of course, you know, we fully expect Carr to be here for this season, obviously. But if the season don't go the way we hope it goes, or expect it to, or at least give us enough promise to step into a new mega market like Las Vegas, it's almost textbook for a franchise to go into a new city with that new face. Because remember, Carr is a Reggie McKenzie guy. Mayock didn't draft him. Gruden didn't draft him. So there's not that real sense of innate loyalty because Gruden's already proven, look, I traded Khalil Mack. Nobody is untouchable. I traded Amari Cooper in the middle of the season. And both of them are comparably on the same success level, well, Mack more so, as Derek Carr. He's the least accomplished quarterback in the AFC West right now. When you look at each starting quarterback,
the
what they have
Broncos don't
accomplished
have anybody.
in their,
I'm going to tell you what, dude. Pat Mahomes,
well, they got
he ain't going to be that good for a
don't
long
they?
time.
Huh?
I don't know about that,
I'm
dude.
sorry.
Because the
that
Broncos don't
again?
have a quarterback, and Pat Mahomes is not going to be that good for a long time, dude. Now, I know. Let me hear it. I know. I hear this every time.
No. I mean, well, we can't speak for the future, but right now, in terms of accomplishment, like who won a division title, who's won a Super Bowl, who's, you know, Phillip Rivers is arguably a Hall of Fame player. He's annoying as hell,
Oh, God.
but let's be honest, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. Joe Flacco has won a Super Bowl, and he's over there in Denver now.
But he's a
Mahomes
Band-Aid.
Perhaps, but his resume as of right now is more accomplished than Derek Carr. So you know, Carr still has promise, and now Gruden and Mayock has put some big pieces around him, Tyrell Williams, Antonio Brown, of course, and see how this works out. But there's a lot of teams that are set and in love with their current QB. And the draft class for next year will be considerably different for quarterbacks. And the nation will get restless, and Vegas has to sell seats. And they're going to say, look, I'm not paying that PSL fee for a dude who's had one winning season out of 7.
Man, you're hurting my feelings, man.
It's going to be a business decision as well. Say, look, he's a good guy. He says all the right things. He's a positive example. But many people confuse the player from the person. I got nothing to say critical about him as a person. And I'm not necessarily critical about him as a player, but I have to be honest and make some objective analysis. Just because you're a fan doesn't mean, you just accept everything or don't ask questions or make critical analysis, So, because, look, some of us, bro, are getting older and older, gray hairs popping up. We get tired of saying next year, fans are passing away, going to their grave, and we're still, it's been, 35, 36 years and counting. So, you know how it is in this business. Right now, Carr's where Tony Romo was. Great numbers, and Romo has broken the records of Staubach and Aikman, but no Super Bowls, no real playoff victories to his name.
I mean, yeah, you're right, dude. Another comparison is like Matthew Stafford, Carr, But again, the Cowboys are dysfunctional too, so I don't know, dude. I get it. There's a part of me that knows that, dude. Like, Carr's not going to be around forever, dude. I know that, but at the same time, it's like, critically, I'm trying to think. It's like, who could step in and win for the Raiders right now? You're gonna tell me, Pat Mahomes can do it? Man, I don't think so, man. Like, there's just not enough stability.
Well, wait a minute, bro. You don't think Mahomes and Brown won't be a deadly combination? With the speed Brown has, with what we just saw Mahomes do to the league last season.
Man, you know what I saw last year, dude? I saw about 25 of those touchdown passes in windows that were so tight, dude. It's gonna be hard to duplicate that. And then at the same time, dude, to me, I hated watching that guy, dude, because he made defenses look stupid, dude. Like, it was backyard football. The guy would run to the sideline, and everybody leaves their position, and then he throws back to the middle of the field. I just don't see that happening. As to where Carr, he can sit in that pocket. And, Gruden did say in the press conference that he is more athletic and that they want to see him move around the pocket more and create those second chance offense things. Like, that's key to Carr's success. If he can't do that more, we won't win, a Super Bowl. But if he starts to do that, it's over. You know what I mean? But,
good point.
I don't know, dude. I just think that Carr with AB can be more deadly than a Patrick Mahomes with AB, because look what Andy Reid was able to win with Alex Smith. You know what I mean? Alex Smith, had the battle going on with Kaepernick, and then Alex Smith, he went and got hurt in Washington. I don't remember how well they were playing before that, but he wasn't playing as good outside of Kansas City as, anywhere else. It was Andy Reid kind of thing, so imagine, Derek Carr with Andy Reid, back to that, but, the thing with Carr is stability. I'm going to have to keep going back to that, because that's really all I can say, is that he has had no stability.
But he's not the only quarterback that's undergone coaching changes. There's been a carousel.
He is the only quarterback with 16
league,
fourth quarter comebacks in the 6 years that he's been in the NFL. That's what I mean. It's like, with him there, you have a chance to win. With Patrick Mahomes, you have a chance to keep the play alive and win too. You know what I mean? He's proven that he proved in the 1 year that he could win. So if that's proof, you know what I mean? But we'll see, right? But Carr has proven that he can put a team on his back and carry you to the promised land. It's just that how consistent can that team be around him?
Yeah, you might get some debates for that. I mean, we both rooting for Carr, no doubt about it, bro. And we both are greatly encouraged that there are some explosive pieces in place for him to capitalize on. I'm glad you brought up the part from the press conference with Mayock and Gruden expressing their thoughts of him being able to be a bit more evasive and extend plays, because in 2019, this is not the old days of the 70s or whatever. In 2019, that's a necessity for a quarterback. And Mahomes, that's something he does naturally. But just extending plays, I'm not saying you got to be running all over the place like Michael Vick or whatever, but when that pocket collapses, don't fold like a piano or panic. You got to be instinctive with your feet. Andrew Luck is great at that, and people don't think of him as a mobile quarterback, but if you look at his stats, he's one of the leaders in that category as far as rushing yardage or scrambling yardage for quarterbacks, because that's something he understands that he does well. So you don't necessarily have to, like I said, become Michael Vick or somebody like that. But when it happens, you've got to have that ability. And too many times, whether it was on TV or in person, I've seen Carr, as of late, since the injury, struggle in that area. But at least Mayock let us know that they're aware of that and they're working with him on that. And he has receivers, especially AB, who know how to get open, who know how to improvise and things like that, which I believe will help him greatly. But none of that will mean nothing if this O-line currently constructed does not perform the way we want it, whereas we got players playing out of position, a 36-year-old out of retirement, incognito, who's missing the first two games against divisional opponents. It doesn't matter how much improvement Carr makes. If we still have the issue of him not getting enough time, then it's going to be a long year. So hopefully that won't be the case. But we definitely both want to see DC succeed, because it's time. The city of Oakland deserves it. This is the last chance for romance. This is it. To quote Michael Jackson, this is it. 2019, the last season there. So let's go out with a bang. Even if it's not the big one, at least on the winning side of the equation. And I would be very happy with 10-6, especially since, we got the toughest schedule out of the 32 teams this year.
Yeah, I'm thinking 10-6. Of course, that was before the Denzel Good injury announcement. But they say that should, that he should be ready. You know what I mean, by the start of the season. But we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, Richie Incognito. I mean, that's a hot topic. Him missing the first two games is key. But if he can come back, and that stretch on the road, that could be tremendous and help us win. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, there's some problems on the offensive line.
Right, bro. So we'll be looking at Carr, but we have to be fair to Carr if that O-line is, totally out of flux.
See,
because
that's
we
the
have
thing,
to
man.
see how Trent Brown responds on the right side.
Well, he did play a little bit on the right side before, right? I think, but yeah, his best year was with the Patriots on the left side. Yeah, and I mean, but that's how I look at it. I wanted to see Trent Brown on the left side, Colton on the right side, Gabe back on the left side, with Good, or I guess now, but it wouldn't have worked that way, but it was, that's what I wanted to see, because Gabe Jackson was a badass left guard. He's a great pulling guard.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So I thought that would have been a good, but we didn't get that. That would have been a good lineup, but we didn't get that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of a red flag right there, is the offensive line and the injuries that have hit. But it's just, I think that's what it is, man. It's like, everything kind of, unless you're the damn Patriots, right, where everything just keeps working out for you. You got to hit. Right. You need everything to come together to make that run. You know what I mean? And it's never come together in Oakland for Carr. You know, like here we are
Right.
talking about all these great pieces that we've just signed, but now we got all these issues coming up about the offensive line. You know, and it's key for us to start out 5-3. I mean, we got to get 5-3 to start
Yes.
out within the first 8 games.
That's right.
You know, we have to be that.
I agree.
You know, but yeah, that's
But
that's a tall order.
This is such a statement year, bro, and it's an exciting time. It's a historic time. The last year in Oakland, playing the Bears in London, you know, with Mac now, and starting the year off with 2 games at home, then having like a 5 or 6 week stretch when we are on the road. That's going to be a little tough. So, but I agree with you. 5-3 would be really nice in the first half of the season, and would give us a fighting chance to make the playoff tournament. Some people forget, as disappointing as 2017 might have been, way deep in December, we still mathematically was very much in the playoff chase. There was a 3-way tie in the AFC West. I think every team was 6-6 at one point. So so with 4 games to go, it was there for the taking. We just didn't capitalize. And I remember I was at the Eagles game in Philly Christmas Day, one of those last 4 games. And, you know, and Beast Mode had some of his best games because he started getting his second win and had 100 against the Chargers, 100 against the Eagles and stuff like that. But even though that season didn't end the way we wanted to, we was still in the discussion as deep as December. So I'm hoping at least we can do that in 2019, especially this being the last season in Oakland. And, you know, like I said, I would be very happy with 10-6, given the strength of schedule, given that Carr will be learning some new pieces, a new feature back. You made a great point about Josh Jacobs. He's very key. And if he can earn the money that he, you know, held out for, then great. You know, because running backs are such a crapshoot. And many general managers around the league will tell you, in recent years, they don't even think about running backs in the first round.
Yeah.
As you notice, fullback has gone extinct, you know, as far as a position. If you grew up in the old school era, whereas, you know, every team had the halfback and the starting fullback, whoever it was for that particular team, you know, that position basically almost phased out now. So can Jacobs handle the load on a professional level, take that pressure off a Carr, whereas, you know, defenses have to respect that, wait a minute, this is a talented kid who's taking the league by storm, or putting them on notice that we have to be concerned about. Whereas, you know, Carr can hand off to or dump off to, and he can make things happen. But what we saw last season with the O-line problem, a lot of times you would see Lynch basically fighting for yardage even after the point of contact or behind the line of scrimmage. And in fact, he led the NFL in that statistic in yards after contact because he was such a violent force and so strong of a runner. Can Jacobs do the same? Hopefully he don't have to do the same, and the O-line would be performing better. Because if the O-line can't block for Carr effectively, how can we expect the O-line to block for a running back effectively?
Yeah. I mean, that, like you're saying, though, everything right now is dependent upon that offensive line. You know, and with all the news coming out on that, that's kind of a downer. But with Denzel being down for the moment, but you and I both agree we won't change this for the world. It's the most exciting time of the year. Training camp. I'm just optimistic, hopeful. There's no catastrophic injuries, God forbid. We get this season started. Black Thanos.
will be in the building week 1, week 2. I'll be back out there for the Lions game, God willing. I will be there for the last game, December 15th, I believe, against the Jaguars, which I know you stated you will attend as well. The last regular season game, you know. I like to think we'll make the playoffs. I'll always think that that's what a Raider fan does, but I'm practical and realistic at the same time. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to wear the colors. I'm going to be passionate, devoted as always. I haven't changed course in damn near 40 years. This is what I know. So that's what separates us from, say, Patriot fans, or maybe basically Tom Brady groupies. And once he retires, watch how that fan base disappear. No respect to any real Patriot fans out there. Or I've often said about Seahawk fans is that the reason why they're called the 12th man, because that's the year most of them became fans in 2012. You know, with us, we're just a breed apart, bro, and we understand this. We embrace it. Not everyone is built for it. And it's good that we can have these discussions among ourselves, you know, analyzing the moves of the team, but none of it suggests any lesser love or dedication or devotion or belief in our squad. We all want our team to be the strongest it can be, but you know, our love going to remain the same. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to stand tall.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah, man. I hope you bring those wins at the beginning of the year.
I'm going to do my best, bro. I'm going to do my best. I believe, well, I know this to be true. I think I had the highest winning percentage of any super fan. No, I have not been to the most games. That's not what I'm saying. Definitely not. But the percentage of games that I attend, and people have brought this to my attention, so it's not like me trying to slap myself on the back. I'm just stating what's been apparently true. More often than not, the overwhelming majority of the time is the Raiders will win. There have been times I've been out there where the Raiders been on a 7, 8, 5-game losing streak. I come to town and things that seem to change. But I've sat through many losses and it didn't you know, affect my love or anything like that. You know, we ride. That's what we do. We Raiders. So I'm gonna do everything I can in my power, bro. I haven't bought my game tickets yet, but that's usually the easy part for me, as far as where I may sit or who I may sit with. But you can bet your last dollar on it. Black Thanos is in the building for the home opener, as well as the Queefs, and we'll get to see Mr. Mahomes and the rest of them, and hope this new defense with Joyner and Burfict and the kid from Clemson, Farrell, and see what we got in store for this dude, because there's no way we can just let that kid march up in Oakland for the last time ever and just try to light us up. No way, no how.
Nah, just don't forget your glove, your gauntlet. You can snap him out of existence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a definite, brother. That's a definite.
Yeah, man. Hey, dude, you know, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast, dude. I know we got off track, but hey, you know, this is our third recording, so we're still trying to figure each other out, still trying to understand each other's opinions on the history, the recent history of the Raiders, man. So that's why we ended up getting into Matt, Carr, and all the rehashed issues that we got into, Raider Nation. But, you know, we're definitely headed in the right direction as a podcast, you know, and as a team, I think, man. You know, as long as you keep bringing that glove, that gauntlet, we're going to be real good.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm going to do, and we're going to need all of our nation brothers and sisters and all the great, colorful, passionate super fans on board, especially this year. And I don't think we really went off track, bro. If it's Raider related, then it's relevant.
Oh yeah.
You know, because these are all things that many of us have thought about, talked about, and we all have a great measure of excitement, anticipation for 2019. Can't believe it's almost August in a few days. You know, this is it. We're so close now to the best time of the year. And, you know, as we assess things, evaluate, one thing is universally true with all of us is that we're genuinely excited. We are committed. Nothing's going to turn us around or deter us. We're going to fly these colors. I often tell people that I represent this 25/8 366 as opposed to 24/7 365 because I'm doing overtime with this. That's how much I rep this nation, and I know you feel the same way. So let's get it. We need all our players, all our stars to stand up and produce. Gruden, you know, he's had his introductory year of cleaning house, rebuilding things the way he seemed he need to do. This being the last season in Oakland on top of that, you know, we got to make a statement, and I believe that we will because the nation deserves nothing less. And, of course, our dear friends and brothers in Oakland deserve nothing less for all the great years in that city.
Yes, sir. So you're saying, what is it, 25/8 366?
That's right, bro.
So I take it the knob on your amp goes up to 11?
How did you know? Just like Spinal Tap, bro.
Yeah, turn it up. So yeah, man.
But that's the nation in general. We've always taken things to the next level, and that's why we are a world apart. There's only one nation. You know, everyone else is nothing but fan clubs. But when it comes to the nation, it's only Raider Nation. A lot of people have infringed on that, tried to adopt that, but I've been hearing that phrase or our name going way back into the early 80s as far as Raider Nation goes. So, you know, so I can respect any fan base, but recognize where it came from, you know. So though I made a little remark about the Seattle fans, at least they had their own thing, the 12th man, Bills Mafia, that's cool. Or, you know, some of the other fan bases, but it's only one nation, that's Raider Nation.
That's right. All right, cool. Well, again, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll see you next time, Raider Nation.
Yes, sir.